Fear didn't evolve to protect you, it evolved to control you. That's the paradox most people never understand. Your brain isn't measuring truth, it's measuring survival, and it often overreacts, exaggerating harmless situations just to keep you obedient. Fear pushes you away from opportunity, not because danger is real, but because uncertainty feels unsafe to ancient wiring. It hijacks decisions, shapes identity, and quietly becomes the architect of your limitations. Fear is a silent puppeteer. Whenever fear appears, pause and ask, is this survival or conditioning? In this video, you'll uncover Robert Greene's hidden law of courage, the law that explains why fear dominates your choices and how to break its invisible grip. By the end, you'll understand fear not as an enemy, but as a map showing you exactly where you must go. Courage is trained, not born. Stay present. Each upcoming insight builds toward a practical shift. Before we go deeper, let me ask you something. Have you ever known exactly what to do? Apply for the job, approach someone, speak up, take the risk, yet fear wrapped its hands around you and whispered reasons to wait? We've all felt that crushing hesitation, the kind that feels logical but is really protective imagination. Comment below with one fear you've run from, even if it seems small. Naming it is the first break in its armor. Awareness begins the escape. Choose one fear you've avoided and write it down now. Fear as a survival algorithm. Fear isn't a flaw, it's an ancient survival script wired into your brain. It alerts you to danger, triggers flight or fight, and keeps you alive in real threats. But here's the problem: modern life isn't the savannah, yet the brain still reacts as if every uncertainty is life-threatening. You freeze, hesitate, or avoid, even when opportunity is safe. Greene emphasizes that understanding this programming is the first step toward mastery. Fear is instinct misapplied. Identify when fear is outdated survival, not present danger, and act anyway. The myth of the fearless person. Nobody is born fearless. Even historical titans like Napoleon faced terror on the battlefield, bullets flying, and uncertainty at every turn. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the skill of acting despite it. Greene studied leaders who leveraged fear as a compass rather than a cage, showing that those who seem fearless have simply learned to move while trembling. Fear is universal, mastery is rare. Accept fear as part of the process, then take deliberate, controlled action. When fear becomes irrational. Fear isn't always rational. Your brain can inflate harmless situations into threats, making you hesitate, avoid, or overthink. Traffic lights, social interactions, and public speaking, none are life-threatening, yet the same neurological circuits that protect against lions now trigger panic. Greene emphasizes that recognizing irrational fear is the first step to reclaiming control. When fear overrides reason, opportunity dies silently. Irrational fear hijacks progress. Pause and question whether your fear reflects reality or ancient wiring. Robert Greene's panic moment in Vienna. Imagine sitting in a quiet theater when suddenly the fire alarm blares. Greene found himself trapped in the middle, panic swelling, hyperventilating, claustrophobic. In that instant, rational thought vanished, leaving raw emotion in charge. The experience shaped his understanding. Fear can grip anyone, even a master strategist. Panic is universal, and facing it deliberately builds mastery. Fear exposes the unprepared. Confront controlled stress scenarios to learn calm under pressure. The spiral of avoidance. Avoiding fear strengthens it. Each time you step back from discomfort, neural circuits reinforce avoidance, telling your mind that danger is real, permanent, and insurmountable. Greene warns that postponement becomes a prison, opportunities shrink, confidence falters, and hesitation compounds. Breaking this cycle requires intentional exposure, starting small and growing progressively. Avoidance fuels fear. Tackle one small fear today to begin rewiring your brain. Exposure, the hidden law of courage. The hidden law of courage is simple: enter the situations you dread. Greene insists that courage is built in the tension of exposure, not in comfort. Standing face to face with what you fear, public speaking, confrontation, confined spaces, trains your mind to recalibrate threat versus reality. The first step is always the hardest, but each successive act shrinks fear's grip. Courage grows through contact. Choose one fear to confront deliberately this week. Rewiring fear through repetition. Repeated exposure changes your brain. Neural pathways that trigger panic weaken, replaced by patterns of calm, control, and confidence. Greene points out that habits of confrontation make fear predictable and manageable, reducing its power over time. Small, repeated acts compound into profound psychological transformation. Practice diminishes panic. Schedule micro-exposures to feared situations daily or weekly. Breaking claustrophobia, Greene's step-by-step path. Greene's claustrophobia vanished because he forced himself into elevators, airplanes, and confined spaces repeatedly. He started small, 10 people in an elevator, short flights, then increased intensity gradually. Each success reshaped his perception of danger, proving his fear irrational. The lesson: deliberate practice transforms the mind faster than theory. Fear can be retrained. Break complex fears into small, controlled exposures and scale progressively. Fear versus reality calibration. Our minds often inflate danger far beyond what actually exists. A closed elevator, a crowded airplane, or a challenging conversation triggers the same survival circuits once reserved for predators. Greene highlights that fear exaggerates the probability and severity of threat, leaving us paralyzed while opportunity slips by. The difference between perception and reality is where mastery begins. By learning to assess the real risk versus imagined danger, you reclaim control over decisions, actions, and outcomes. Fear often misleads logic. Before reacting, analyze whether your fear reflects real danger or mental projection. If you're realizing how fear silently governs your life, stay with me, because the next insights reveal advanced strategies Greene used to systematically dismantle fear. Subscribe now if you want to learn how to transform fear into leverage, and comment below with the one fear you're ready to confront this week. The hidden cost of avoidance. Avoidance seems safe, but it silently erodes your potential. Every skipped challenge, delayed action, or avoided conversation strengthens fear circuits in the brain and diminishes confidence, creativity, and influence. Greene emphasizes that habitual avoidance is a slow poison, limiting your career, relationships, and personal growth. Even minor avoidance compounds into significant missed opportunities over time. Avoidance shapes destiny. Track one area where you avoid action, and intentionally face it this week. Fear as a prison of imagination. Most fear exists in your mind, not in reality. You imagine worst-case scenarios, overestimate consequences, and replay failures endlessly. Greene teaches that the imagination amplifies threat while ignoring opportunity. By confronting fear, you learn that the imagined outcomes rarely materialize, and the mind begins to distinguish fantasy from fact. Imagination inflates risk. Test your fear against reality, experience it, and record the outcome. The counterattack method. The most effective way to defeat fear is direct engagement. Greene's method: step into discomfort deliberately, challenge panic, and persist despite anxiety. This counterattack retrains neural patterns, turning fear from a barrier into a teacher. Each deliberate confrontation chips away at the illusion of threat and replaces it with evidence of competence and resilience. Action conquers terror. Choose one fear scenario and act on it today, no exceptions. Understanding the fear threshold. Every individual has a threshold where discomfort transforms into growth. Below it, fear is manageable. Above it, avoidance ensues. Greene stresses the importance of recognizing this personal limit. Too little exposure does nothing, too much triggers panic. By gradually increasing intensity in controlled steps, you expand your threshold, reshaping both confidence and courage. Threshold defines progress. Identify your current fear threshold and plan incremental challenges to expand it. Micro-courage, small risks that rewire you. Courage doesn't emerge in grand gestures, it grows in small, repeated acts. Greene emphasizes that micro-courage, speaking up in meetings, approaching a stranger, or volunteering for a minor challenge, trains the nervous system to tolerate discomfort. These small wins compound, rewiring your brain to perceive uncertainty as opportunity rather than threat. Fear diminishes when you accumulate evidence of competence. Tiny steps create giants. Take one small, uncomfortable action today to begin reshaping your psychology. Fear as an internal compass. Often the things you fear most point directly to what you need to do. Greene suggests that fear signals growth opportunities. Discomfort is a map, not a warning. Ignoring fear leaves potential untapped, while leaning into it develops skill, resilience, and insight. Fear becomes a guide rather than a jailer. Fear points forward. Identify one fear that aligns with growth and plan deliberate exposure. The courage curve. Courage compounds exponentially. Each act of bravery slightly stretches your limits, making the next challenge easier and less intimidating. Greene notes that fear isn't linear. Repeated exposure produces acceleration in confidence and risk tolerance. By intentionally navigating discomfort, your mind rewrites the script, turning previously paralyzing scenarios into manageable challenges. Momentum fuels bravery. Schedule progressive challenges that gradually increase intensity and complexity. Reversing fear's narrative. Fear can be reframed from enemy to teacher. Greene teaches that by consciously interpreting fear as information rather than threat, you gain clarity. What scares you signals growth, opportunity, and untapped potential. Transforming panic into curiosity rewires your mindset. Reframe, don't resist. Next time fear arises, ask, "What is this teaching me?" before reacting. Mastery through controlled exposure. True courage is deliberate, not inherited. Greene emphasizes repeated, controlled exposure to feared scenarios, progressively building skill, resilience, and confidence. Over time, fear no longer dictates choices. It becomes a navigational tool rather than a barrier. Controlled exposure turns panic into power, hesitation into action, and limitation into mastery. Courage is trained. Commit to one structured fear exposure each week to build unstoppable resilience. Fear is not a wall, it is a teacher. Words, panic, and imagination can exaggerate threat, but deliberate exposure and structured action transform fear into insight, courage, and personal growth. Robert Greene's hidden law of courage is simple: confront what frightens you deliberately, incrementally, and consistently. The more you engage, the smaller fear becomes. In the next video, we'll explore how to use hesitation itself as a tool for strategic advantage, turning delay into power and uncertainty into decision-making clarity.